welcome to the first episode of Student Corner. I'm Douglas Coulter. Let's face it, being on a commuter campus is great. We come down to campus when we need to and leave when we're done. This does, however, make it easy for many of us to tune out the events and policies that are the driving force for the Auraria campus community. Student Corner is produced by students right here on the Auraria campus, and we hope to bring a meaningful conversation with the leaders of campus to give them the opportunity to share what they do with you. This week we sit down with MSU Denver Student Government President Liz Milewski and MSU SACAB Representative Braunwyn Mumby. But first, making headlines this week. The search continues for a new MSU Denver president since President Jordan announced his retirement earlier last month. A search committee of students, alumni, and staff met with a consulting group who will be leading the charge of finding the next president. They discussed the qualities they hope for in the next president, including someone who will continue to build on campus diversity and accessibility. The Board of Trustees will announce their final decision early 2017. A new face will be taking over as Director of Parking for AHEC. Brent Spann joins the Auraria campus community with over 30 years of leadership experience. In his most recent role as Parking Director for Aurora Public Schools, Spann saved the district over $500,000 over the course of 12 months. Spann's arrival comes after AHEC announced a 50-cent per day increase in parking rates over the next year. The annual security report for 2015 was released, and the results for most crimes remained stagnant. The most notable jump in crime, however, occurred in drug-related offenses on campus, which jumped from 12 cases in 2014 to 60 in 2015. Cases of motor vehicle theft are also on the increase from 7 cases to 13 cases in 2015. On the decline, burglary, which has taken a steady decrease since 2013, with only 8 cases reported last year. A copy of the full report can be found on the Dean's page at msudenver.edu. The Board of Trustees has approved a mid-year update that will leave full-time employees with a little extra money. All full-time faculty and administrators will be receiving a 2% increase in pay effective October 1st. In addition, employees who participate in medical and dental benefits will see an increase in the university's contribution to 70%. When we come back, we sit down with SGA President Liz Milewski.
I'd like for us to be known as one of the highest voter turnout universities in the United States.
And later we have an exclusive with SACAB Rep. Braunwyn Mumby.
I would honestly like to see the campus be carbon neutral, which would be a big step in the right direction for our sustainability efforts.
And we also sit down with Noticiero TV Met producer Andrea Herrera.
So it's called Noticiero TV Met, and basically it's your typical Spanish-run newscast here at MSU Denver.
Met Radio on mymetmedia.com.
My name is Pat Tobin. I am a cancer survivor of 27 years, and I had breast cancer because I lost my husband to cancer, my mother, my grandfather, an uncle, and 2 aunts. I relay so that research can find a cure for all of these things soon.
My name is Susan Scarlett. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I relay for me, and just to get the word out for relay and to raise money, we need to find a cure.
Dobinson stops on a dime, now to Cortez, the Cortez beating, count the bucket, and a foul.
If you can't get enough of MSU Denver sports, then you need to tune in to the Roadrunner Review. Get into the game with exclusive highlights, interviews, player stories, and of course the top plays that will have you jumping out of your seat. You can catch all the action on Altitude Sports, Comcast CET, and at RoadrunnersAthletics.com.
Hey, nice job, great spot!
Oh, hello there. I'm Avery Anderson, host of the Nightly Met here on Channel 58. Do you like watching television that's witty and funny? Maybe you enjoy seeing local performers being highlighted, or you like to watch fun interviews with local citizens. If that's the case, then don't watch our show. We're just college kids, so the jokes are only funny some of the time. The bands suck, and the interviews are awkward to watch. But if that sounds good to you, make sure you tune in every Friday night at 7 p.m. or go to mymetmedia.com.
Colorado's weather is always changing.
We're student meteorologists trained to keep you safe.
We have the latest weekend forecast and help you prepare for the week ahead.
You can watch our weather forecast on Facebook, Twitter, mymetmedia.com, and on TV.
We help you stay weather aware.
Drop that baby.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
All right, well, we're joined on this first episode of Student Corner by SGA President for MSU Denver, Liz Milewski. Liz, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off really basic. So you're president of SGA. What do you do in SGA?
Oh, hey, so I do a lot of things in SGA. First and foremost, my priority is my emails. Besides that, I serve on a lot of university-wide committees and panels, as well as task forces, things like President's Cabinet with Dr. Jordan, Equity and Excellence Committee, and things like that. And I also help manage our staff, which we have 16 Student Government Assembly members this year. So that's a lot of managing projects and making sure we're on task and pushing through with our initiatives.
Awesome. We'll talk about some of those projects and initiatives that you're working on. What specifically are you working on?
Yeah, so this semester we're working on quite a few things. One of the big ones is with the upcoming elections, as well as Campus Week of Action and Take Back the Night with campus climate and campus sexual violence and interpersonal violence, which are kind of continued efforts from last year's SGA. So with that, we are really hoping to kind of give a dialogue and a spot for conversation about kind of the events that have been happening between places like Stanford with campus sexual violence and interpersonal violence, but more in like a fun, interactive way for students. And for the elections that are up and coming, we're hosting different events just to get students aware of not only the national ballot, but our local ballot and kind of those really big measures that are going to be on there and making sure that students are going to be voting and getting involved with the local elections.
Talk about, at your level, why is it important for students to get involved on not only the national level, but like you said, the local level as well?
I think it's almost more important for students to vote on local level elections. I mean, things that are going to be on the ballot this year are things like minimum wage raises, amendments to the Constitution, with getting items on the ballot, things like Colorado Care. So I think as millennials, we are a very significantly large population and we have the ability to swing a vote very easily, as well as voting for our congressional and senatorial leaders is really important, especially when you look at the bigger picture in Washington.
Awesome. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the presidential search on the university level. So President Jordan announced that he'll be leaving the end of June next year. So talk about maybe the legacy that President Jordan is leaving and what you hope to see in the new candidate.
Yeah, definitely. I think Dr. Jordan has left a huge legacy here at MSU Denver. Big part, what I see is our progress with undocumented students and allowing them with the whole asset student alliance and being able to have undocumented students here on campus and get that in-state tuition level when they are undocumented, which has opened many, many doors and also has allowed our university to really be more diversified. So I think that's a really big thing that Dr. Jordan has really put us out there, and I think he's really put us on the map between our veteran services as well as our new aerospace program. And I mean, before Dr. Jordan came into the picture, we were still a college. And I think we forget that as MSU Denver University students, but before him we were a college and now we are a university and we have a name for ourselves. So I think he's left a really amazing legacy behind him. And I think the things that I'm personally hoping that our new president comes in is they come in and they're ready to continue to build the diverse and inclusive community that we have created here at MSU Denver and not try to shift that change to currently we're non-traditional, but I don't want someone to come in and make it a traditional campus because that's not who we are as Roadrunners. Right.
Well, talk about the process of getting a new president in here, because it's not as simple as, having a couple people apply for the job and then someone takes over. So talk about a little bit about that process.
Yeah, definitely. Like. So they had 2 committee meetings last week, our panels, open forums for community members, students, faculty, and staff to come visit and kind of just give their opinion on what they wanted to see in the new president. That whole process really just helps with creating an application and essentially just writing down those qualifications and what they want that new president to look like in that structure. Once that application is completed, it'll be sent out basically all over. And it's not kind of like a pick and choose who we want to get that application. It'll be suggested to some people. However, it is an open forum to apply, so I could apply even though I'm very underqualified. And then they have an entire committee of people who will convene and meet the new presidents and go through the interview process. That interview process is going to be completely confidential because many times they can have another university president applying for the same position and that could put their job in jeopardy. But my VP, Christian Solano Cordova, is actually on that committee to help select the new president. So it's a really great situation for SGA to be in.
Now, do you know what does the time frame look like for that?
So on the top of my head, I don't know the exact time frame. But I know by I think January, interviews are going to be commenced, and I believe it's in February when the final candidate is going to be announced. And
Awesome.
then that'll be a community forum for students, faculty, and staff to come meet the new president and kind of see where their bearings are with that person.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's switch topics again a little bit here. Let's talk about parking. Everyone seems to have an opinion on parking on campus. What can be done to, I guess, alleviate the perceived problems with the parking here on
Yeah,
campus?
so I think that's a heated topic for sure. I have my opinions, and I'm not running for re-election because I'm graduating, so I will share them honestly. So I think parking on this campus is perceived as a really large issue, and I was doing some research this morning on different universities and commuter campuses, and parking, if we're being down to it and honest, is an issue on every single university and college campus around the United States. And I think a lot of times we create ourselves as like, we're this unique situation where we have problems with parking and we have to pay for parking, when the reality is we are a commuter school, we're in the middle of the city. Every commuter school in the middle of the city has to charge for parking. You look at CU Boulder, they charge for parking. As for parking goes and finding parking, 90% of our time, none of our lots are at 100% capacity, so there is always parking spots. It just kind of takes that extra 10, 15 minutes to get there early and find a spot, which I know is not the answer that students want to hear at all. But that's also why I'm a really huge advocate for that RTD pass and utilizing those things, as well as like the $2 lots, the $2.50 lots, and things like that, because I know it's not always the most exciting to wake up 15 minutes earlier to go find parking, but if you're not going to take the train, that's kind of what you have to do, and that's the reality of coming to a commuter campus. Because some people think that, if we bring down the rate of parking, that's great, which means, however, I know as a student who takes the light rail, if parking's cheaper, I'm going to drive rather than take the light rail. And also people from downtown come on our campus and they park, so it would be more of a factor for them to come onto campus and park, which would create that higher capacity in our parking lots.
Now let's talk about, though, we did just get that 50-cent increase over the course of the next year.
Yeah.
What is that 50 cents going to be used for, just for clarification?
Yeah, so my understanding of that, which is not super vast, so don't quote me on it, but my understanding, so currently AHEC is in a deficit between the new buildings, keeping up the buildings, and the bond fee has not increased very much in the last couple of years. So that 50 cents is really going to go to keeping up our parking structures, as well as creating more parking spots. Things like that 5th Street garage that was just built, that is being paid by parking fees. So in order to get those fees, though, we need to collect more money for parking. So that's kind of what that money is going into, to kind of just offset the cost of parking and having meter attendants and everything there as well as just helping out AHEC with the general maintenance and restructuring parking and making sure that those lines are drawn on the parking lots and things like that.
Cool. Now let's start to wrap things up here a little bit. What is one thing that, completely switching gears, what is one thing if you could leave your legacy, one thing you could work on, what would that be here at MSU Denver?
That's a really big question. I would like for us to be known as one of the highest voter turnout universities in the United States. And I mean, in the last month and a half, 2 months, we registered over 800 voters with partnership of New Era, Colorado. And I think that's pretty amazing to be able to do that in just a matter of about a month and a half, 2 months. Yeah. So I think if we can get a massive voter turnout by our students and really show and sway the election and say we are here to stay and we are MSU Denver and Auraria campus, I think that would be amazing. Awesome.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for being here with us. We could definitely talk to you all day, but we do need to wrap things up. So thanks for being here.
Get up, I know you found
hungry. Now it's our turn. Go to ourturntohelp.org and donate what you can. Hope is on the way.
It could have been like this all the time, but life got in the way. See the Tennessee Williams masterpiece, The Glass Menagerie, at the Denver Center, September 9th through October 16th.
Dobinson stops on a dime, now to Cortez. The Cortez feeding, and count the bucket, and foul.
If you can't get enough of MSU Denver sports, then you need to tune in to the Roadrunner Review. Get into the game with exclusive highlights, interviews, player stories, and of course the top plays that will have you jumping out of your seat. You can catch all the action on Altitude Sports, Comcast CET, and at RoadrunnersAthletics.com.
Hey, nice job! Great spot!
I will make you my enemy. I will work at your destruction. I will dedicate myself. I won't rest until I desolate your heart. See Frankenstein live on stage at the Denver Center, September 30th through October 30th. For tickets, visit denvercenter.org.
Well, we're sitting down now with SACAB representative Braunwyn Mumby. Thanks for being with us here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I kind of want to do the same thing. Let's start off by talking about your role on SACAB and what SACAB does for the Aurelia campus.
Okay, so yeah, I'm one of Metro's SACAB representatives, of which there are 2, and then there are 2 UCD and 2 CCD representatives. And basically, what we do as a board or as a committee is we work directly underneath the Auraria board, and we look at campus planning decisions, we look at budget decisions, we look at activity and everything like that, and how to get students more active on campus. And we do that through a lot of subsets of subsets, because we have the Food Services Advisory Committee, which basically looks at all of the food vendors, all of the banquet style stuff that we do here, and all of the food vendors and everything like that, which I know that a lot of people are irked about Taco Bell being gone. But in my defense, we did get a Hawaiian place, so that's near and dear to my heart. But we also do a lot of sustainability work, which is what I personally do. I'm the chair of the Sustainable Campus Program, and we basically work with composting, energy efficiency, solar, wind, pretty much the whole shebang of decreasing our carbon footprint and working on getting our LEED status as a university.
And talk about the importance of that, because I feel like a lot of times when we hear that, we don't see that as being priority.
Right.
Talk about why that should be.
So as a humongous campus, we have 3 institutions. It's really important to look at the waste that we do put out into our community, and especially being so close to downtown Denver, is that they have a giant carbon footprint and we only add to that. And so a lot of our work is looking at, how we can offset our energy use or pretty much our energy use by authorizing solar projects, of which I know that a lot of people see that the ones that we have on the Arts Building right now, and we actually just authorized, it's still in the works, but we authorized I believe 20-year solar project plan that should be covering parts of the SSB, parts of West, Central, and the Science Building, I believe.
Awesome. So talk about more specifically some of the projects you're working on right now or coming up in the future.
So right now, we're basically, we're looking at that big solar project because it went to the CFO, it went to Auraria board at the end of last semester, and then it went to the CFOs on the Auraria board and they kind of hashed it out and everything. And there were a couple of budget discrepancies that we're actually looking at again. We had a little bit of trouble getting some CCD spots filled, and so we are getting kind of a late start, but in the next couple of weeks we'll be looking mainly at the solar projects and everything like that. And last week we just had our sustainability fair, so.
Awesome. Well, let's go back. You mentioned something a little bit ago that I want to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the campus here being a commuter campus. Mm-hmm. Why should students want to even get involved here, and why is it important?
Well, I personally wasn't involved for my first 2 years, and I was one of those car, class, and then home students, and I wanted to spend as little time here as I possibly could, and then I realized what a great opportunity I was missing by being involved in campus, and I'm one of the lucky few that actually gets paid to be involved on campus, which I am incredibly thankful for, but I think that you know, you don't have to be on the political scale, you don't have to be, you know, really interested in any hot button issues. It's just, you know, this is, for a lot of people, this is, you know, their home. And whether or not, you know, they see it as that, they spend significantly more time here than they do at home or, you know, in their apartments or in their houses or anything like that. And so logically speaking, it just makes sense to, you know, this is somewhere where I spend the majority of my time. And for a lot of students, they spend a lot of money here as well. And I think that over everything and anything should make people want to get involved.
What are some of the ways that people, aside from, you know, being a part of student government, what are some other ways students can get involved?
Well, we have dozens of student orgs that, you know, do stuff on campus every day. And then we also have, you know, extracurricular type stuff. There are, you know, opportunities that they have through the, you know, the Health and Wellness Center. There are opportunities that they have through, you know, multiple different departments, whether it's, you know, because I know personally, being a major in political science and anthropology, both of those departments have student organizations that students can join, and they, you know, meet with people that think like them and that, you know, study the same things as them and stuff like that. And I think that that's a really good way not only to get involved on campus, but to also get involved really hands-on with their education.
Awesome. Well, I asked Liz this, so I'm going to ask you the same thing. If you could leave one big legacy here on the Auraria campus, what would you want to leave?
I would honestly like to see the campus be carbon neutral, which would be a big step in the right direction for our sustainability efforts. And that would include getting, you know, our LEED status and making it so the waste that we put into the community is offset by either the work that we do or that waste is neutral in the first place. So with solar or wind or, you know, trash compacting, anything like that. So.
Awesome. So for students maybe watching this and they have something that, you know, might be important to them, what's the best way they can reach out to you and the rest of the student organizations here?
Either come into our office or go into student activities. And we're in the Tivoli in 307, so we're right front and center, right up from Starbucks. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us here.
The Met Sports Show is the longest tenured program on Met Radio. Having won the SPJ Region 9 Mark of Excellence Award 3 times since 2013, the Sports Show serves as the model program for new employees and volunteers to learn from and shadow.
In Auraria, everything changes. There's always new things to see or do.
In your Noticiero TMET, we'll tell you all you need to know about our school.
News about our region and beyond our borders.
Every Friday morning at 10:30 through Comcast Channel 58 in Denver and on live stream in iTunes or Android. Noticiero TVMet, the student voice of MSU Denver in Spanish.
MyMetMedia.com is a new interactive website. Watch full newscasts from the Met Report. The Metropolitan have you covered. K-Met Radio have everything you need 24 hours a day. El Noticiero TV Met give you news in Spanish. How to advertise with us? Email sales@metmedia.com.
Well, we're joined now by Andrea Herrera. And Andrea, we actually work together in the Office of Student Media. But Andrea, let's talk a little bit about the Spanish side, because a lot of people I don't think realize that we have a Spanish newscast. Talk more about that.
Right, okay, so it's called Noticiero TVMet, and basically it's your typical Spanish-run newscast here at MSU Denver. We cover the hard stuff, the fluff, the entertainment, sports, everything. And then basically that's what it is. I mean, just the same thing as the Met Report, just Spanish side.
Awesome. Well, how can students get involved with Noticiero if they're interested?
So the first thing I would recommend is basically go up to the office, Tivoli 313. And other than that, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, any of those social media, you can reach out to us and basically just say, hey, we want to be part of Noticiero. Right now, we're very understaffed. I just think the Hispanic community isn't as involved. So we would really like for people to reach out and come to us.
So talk more about the content that you produce on a weekly basis. So, because there's not many newscasts out there, especially at the college level, that focus on the Spanish language.
Okay, so basically week to week we produce your A-block stories, which is just news stories here on campus. And then we have a sports segment and they go out and shoot the sports, volleyball, basketball, anything that goes on. And then after that you have your outside news, so anything that is going on outside of Denver, in Denver, anything we talk about that. We're trying to get politics involved too. I know English has politics, and again, it's just not many Hispanics know about it, or either we're in this generation right now where I feel they're Hispanics and there's Mexicans and all that, but a lot of them are like their generation. So they don't speak Spanish as well as they think they should or write it. And that's kind of like the little issue that we have right now, where they could either speak it, but they can't write it or read it. And then that kind of gets in the way of it.
So how can students overcome that? And what do you have to say to them when they want to join, but that might be an issue?
I would say don't be scared. I mean, I started off not really knowing how to read like the best Spanish, but little by little, people like Janice helped me, Sergio helped me, Cynthia, Jocelyn, all of them helped me. And then now my Spanish has grown where I'm able to produce the show, write the teases and all that stuff. So don't be scared. And even if you don't think you speak it as well as you do, then just give it a chance.
Awesome.
Give it
cool.
a shot.
Well, what about if people really want to get involved? What's the best way for them to get involved?
So go directly to Facebook, Noticiero TVM, Twitter, NTVM, or just, again, Tivoli 313.
So I think one thing that we should probably reiterate here is the Noticiero isn't, again, it's a very awesome opportunity. Talk about where some of your alumni from Noticiero are at today.
Okay, so we recently have one. Her name's Cynthia Maldonado, and she is now in Colorado Springs, KRDO. And then we have Janice working at Telemundo. She was the editor. And then Sergio is also at Telemundo. We have Karen Vega, who is lead anchor at Univision. So there's great opportunities from Noticiero, definitely.
Cool. Well, Andrea, thank you for being with us here.
Drop that baby.
Well, let's face it, there seems to be construction on every corner of campus, and it can make getting around a little more difficult. The good news is, though, it is not going to last forever. And besides that, all the projects going on are improving the flow and function of our campus. The good news is it's not going to last forever. And besides that, all the projects going on are improving the flow and function of our campus. And aside from that, does it really inconvenience your day that much? It may mean that you have to take the long way around, but does it really add that much time to your walk? 1-2 extra minutes is not that much. Remember the construction in front of the library? Well, I'm guessing that's just a blip on the radar. And look at how nice it looks now. This construction now, although it may be a slight inconvenience, will soon be a blip on the radar too. Well, that's all the time we have for the first edition of Student Corner. We want to hear from you what you thought of the show. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Student Corner or on our website at mymetmedia.com. A special thanks to our guests Liz Milewski and Braunwyn Mumby and Andrea Herrera as well. And thank you to you for watching.